So today we're here with a very special person. We're here with Godwin Falix. Godwin, please introduce yourself to the viewers that don't know you yet.
Hi, my name is Godwin. Born and raised in Holland, Rotterdam. I'm 100% convinced that Rotterdam produces one of the best players in the world. I used to grow up with players like Wijnaldum, Robin van Persie. I'm a football agent that changes the game in terms of personal attention and talent development. Started with probably the first soccer school in Holland. Got a lot of attention with starting doing individual training and additional training because at that time it was really rare. You only train with your club and never outside of the club. So basically I pulled up an American mentality on working extra, doing extra work, additional work to become a better player. I had a lot of victories with doing that. Of course, people don't like you when you do something different. From there, I started building an academy and helping grassroots to become professional athletes. And now I can say that I helped a lot of professional players that play in big competitions, tier 1 leagues in Europe, and play for the national team. And nowadays I'm traveling a lot, also during COVID. Do a lot of work in England, Germany, Italy, and trying to push not even the top talents, but also the talents that need a bit of extra help.
Yeah.
To help them to get the maximum out of their career, really. So and I just found out that Kareem is also from the same island that I'm from, Grenada.
Grenada, yes.
That's really in a nutshell who Godwin is.
Yeah. You're doing a lot of amazing, great things. And I like that I heard that you're not only helping top players, but you're helping players that need a little bit of a push. That's amazing. I love that. So, I want to go back in time before we tap into the present time and the future. Is that cool with you?
Yeah, cool.
Okay, cool. So, can you take us back in time where soccer all began for you? I'm not too sure if they call it football. Did they call it football in Holland, or what do they call what do they call it?
Yeah, we call it football. Yeah.
Okay, football. Yeah. So
we don't mind soccer, but we call it football. Yeah.
Okay, we'll stick with football then. Football, yeah.
Yeah. So, your question is where football started with me?
Yeah, like, can you take us to where it all began?
In Holland, there is one thing that I think that's the most incredible thing. We have like these football courts on the street, near schools, and that's where it all begins, really. So I grew up in Rotterdam, and it started when I saw the ball. It started. You go and play outside of school. You're playing on these small football courts, and that's where you develop yourself. You fall in love with the game, which we love, of course, and there you start developing yourself, your skills. And I believe the reason why Dutch players stand out is because of that. We train our skills on the street. And from the street, we have a very organized club structure. So There are like more than we're a very tiny country, but we have like 4 or 5,000 football clubs, amateur clubs in Holland. So in Rotterdam City, you have like maybe 300 or 400 football clubs. So everyone plays the game. It's the number one sport. We live it, we dream it. Football is like, it's strange when you don't play football. So even the fighters, they play football. Everyone plays the game. The structure, the street courts, help a lot with creating that atmosphere of loving playing football, and that's why we produce so much big talents and big players. And it started from there, and so I grew playing for amateur clubs and came into professional academies. Started playing for Excelsior Rotterdam with Robin van Persie. He went to Feyenoord first, biggest club in Rotterdam. I came 2 years later, boom, played in Feyenoord. It was very hard to come in at that time. And obviously, Robin was, out of all the talented players, the only player at 17, 18 years old that came into the first team. All of the other talents went into other professional clubs, including myself. And that's where my professional career started and ended really quick because of other issues. That's another story. But if you're asking me where did it start, on the street, really.
Yeah. I mean, football is life. Football is life. Did you end up going to school after high school? Did you go to college or university?
When I signed my first professional contract, I was in college, and I was dying to stop because I wanted to pursue my professional career. The structure in Holland is different. Education. Education is important, but it's not like that you're not getting drafted. As in American terms, that you need a piece of paper to become a professional athlete or something. So here it's very simple. When you become a professional, we don't give a fuck if you have a college degree or whatever, or you're a professional and it's your work. So I have to say I like the American structure and way everything's put together, because you see a lot of players that don't make it. They fall into a huge black hole with no education and loads of problems that come along with that. So I didn't finish school. I went in as a professional, played professional 3 years, came into the amateurs, got into the hole, but I got out of the hole myself. I had a vision what I wanted to do because a lot of things were not good arranged for players that weren't in the top. I wouldn't pronounce myself as a super player, but I had enough qualities to make enough money with football. Obviously, that didn't work out. So I started as soon as I dropped into the amateur football. I started with my own academy, and I climbed up the ladder and created a nice company for myself and academy for myself. So, but I'm aware that that route is difficult and it's not for everyone. So I would always advise players, athletes to get a degree as a backup plan, 100%.
Got it. And I know I haven't seen the growth process of you starting from you playing soccer and then creating your own business, but I want to congratulate you on that.
Thank you very much. Much appreciated.
Yeah. So the next question I
A
want to ask.
bumpy road. Bumpy
Par-
road.
Pardon?
It was a very bumpy road.
Yeah, lots of ups and downs.
Yeah, 100%.
Of course, I totally understand. What about sacrifices? What sacrifices did you and your family have to make for football?
You know, let me put this into the right words and the right perspective. I have like a traditional black man story. Grew up with my mom, single mom. My dad lived in England, music producer, so he was touring a lot like a rock star. Was very independent in a young age because I had talent. You know, all of the parents of the other kids picked me up, brought me home, helped a lot. But you grow. I went to the training with the boss, myself. So I I created a lot of independency and maturity. My mom had to work night shifts, daily shifts. Um, so my mom did what she needed to do, but on the other hand, I needed to make the sacrifices myself. Um, so there was a little of lack in the support system on that side, because she had other responsibilities. I was the oldest, a baby sister, a baby brother. So it was a rough period. But if I didn't experience that, I wouldn't be in the position where I am now. So yeah, um, I'm 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 pretty thankful for that sacrifice. Let me put it like that.
Yeah, yeah, and I could relate to you on that because I grew up having the same experiences with a single mom as well. Yeah, I
It's rough. It's
definitely relate.
rough.
Yeah,
It's very underestimated. There's so much going on around the club. Social problems, financial problems, political stuff that's happening within the club. A lot of boys have both of their parents that fight for them, and I had to do all these things for myself. So yeah, it was rough. But what I what I just said, if I didn't experience that, I wouldn't be in the position where I am now, and I'm used to that. Basically, I love being in uncomfortable positions because that's how I grew in every process of my life. Really,
amazing. Oh, what's the best advice that you ever received through soccer? I mean, through football.
um, the biggest mistake I've made as a player, because you know when you can handle the ball, when you're gifted, you a lot of players make a mistake, including myself, to lean on their talent. And
Mm,
I was like, hey, listen, fuck that, I give a fuck what this coach is saying, whatever. And when I got back into the amateurs, the message landed, but then it was too late. They were always pushing me in putting in the work instead of receiving the ball on my chest and everything going correctly. And work. Make these extra meters, run the extra mile, go take every inch. And if you see me personally coaching my players, it's like it doesn't even match the player that I was. For me, it was like, everything needs to be technical and everything plays directly on my in my feet. And um, um, but I don't attract these type of players at all. I prefer players that have less talent and work their freaking ass off. And um, if you ask me, what is your advice? Work your freaking ass off, and that's gonna, and then add, the talent that you have, but not the other way around.
Of course. And
Hard work in the first place.
Yeah, and you just mentioned that you coach your players now. So how is your transition from being a professional soccer player to then coaching and being an agent now? How was the transition? Was it easy for you? Was it hard?
Yeah. Why was it easy? I was managed by one of the biggest agencies in Holland. They were only looking after the top players. Let's say, you had the A players, and I was like category B. And I saw a gap in help and guidance for the category B players, because they had a need for extra attention, additional training, just that extra push. And that basically, so that deception and lack of attention basically gave me the fuel to do what I'm doing. So I saw what it brought me. I've got players that play in the biggest leagues in Europe, with the method I've built in the last 14 years. So I'm in for the long run. I'm here, to change the game, do things completely different. And it's rough talking to millionaire sports directors that that look at you like, hey, what the fuck are you? But when you deliver and you show that you do things different, they respect you, and obviously they can't work around you anymore. So that principle also works for being an athlete yourself.
Yeah. Wow, some really good points right there. Okay, so I'm looking at the website. I'm looking at the website right now. It's really beautiful. I just want to ask you a couple of questions from here. Let me see. And you talked about, so you have to earn your respect because you're doing things differently, right? So you're putting in more work. Is that the case?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Got it. Okay, so the first one is coach with agent skills. So you're a coach with agent skills. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Actually, it's agent with coach skills, because you have agents. They drop the contracts. They sign you. They make their money. They don't look after you. They only look after you when your contract is gonna get extended, and they have to move you to a different club. And anything between, there's a poor, let's say, client service. So that's the gap. The gap that I went in. I've never seen an agent that personally coaches his players, working on the adjustments that he needs to make or the points of improvements outside of the club. So where I'm making a change, I'm having a hand in the development process of a player. Doesn't matter what the position is. It can be all 11 positions. I've created, individual programs, basically how they work in boxing, in basketball, in baseball. Repetition is key to success. And
Yeah.
the soccer world is working like it's the fucking Middle Ages. Sorry for my French. So there's so much work and success to be made in, if you're a striker, you need to make fucking goals. If you're a defender, you need to know how to defend. If you're a goalkeeper, have a clean sheet. You can work on these things. So I've created a method. It's called the PMT method, physical, mental, and technical. And we're working on all of the additional work where the club doesn't has the time or lack of knowledge to make the individual player better. So that's the area where I'm gaining respect and where I'm seriously having a hand in the development process of a player. So what you see now is that all of the players that are in with my authority and management, they're both feeded. They can handle the ball well, and in that position, I've created weapons. They're not only good players, but in their potential, I've created weapons. So what was a 7, I made it a 10. What was a 4, I made it a 6. So what was good, I made it exceptional. And what was weak, I made it, good enough, So I'm having a hand in the what I call the creating transfer value or more market value.
Nice. And what's the age of the players that you work with? What's the age range between?
So we have an academy where players from 10 years old come in, and we guide them through a process of 5 years to or get them to a professional club or get them to their first contract. And from there, we lead them to a professional career. And within the category 10 to 15, we have like 50 players, and our mission is to create a lot of professionals. That's the whole idea. And from becoming a professional, it's creating legends, players that become national team players, and playing all over Europe from Holland.
Yeah, and for the viewers that will be watching this, where can they find your program?
They can find my program on my website. So if you go to godwinfalix.com, you can find everything on my personal website.
Nice. Can you spell it out for them?
So it's GODWINFALIX.com.
Okay, cool. So did you write a book as well?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
How did you know that? Oh, okay.
You
did your research.
Yeah, I'm on the website right now. These are just some questions I wanted to ask you about. So, I wrote a book as well. I don't know if you know, but writing the book was probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
Oh, really?
Yes. So
I can imagine. It is.
Yeah. So how was it for you? How was your experience writing a book?
Fascinating. I basically started with, just writing down all my thoughts, and like a diary. And then I thought, hey, maybe it's an idea to go to a publisher, make him read what my thoughts are, and he was convinced. So that's basically what happened. I think it took me 10 years or something. I just wrote down all of my thoughts, really. I'm going inside because it's starting to rain. I just started to write down all of my thoughts, and I went to the publisher, and there we go. I had my book, but it was a very fascinating process.
Yeah, I can imagine. So, another big point that you mentioned on the website, it says it's about the relationship. So why is it about the relationship between the agent and the player? What's the importance of the relationship? You've mentioned it before earlier in the interview, but can you just go over it again with us?
What I've done early in my career was traveling. So I traveled a lot in Europe, and I traveled to Asia. And the difference between Europeans and Asians are Europeans put business first. They just, they're straightforward. They make money. They want to make the deal. And when you do business with Asians, they find friendship and a genuine relationship the most important thing. And they call that guangxi. I would definitely invite all the listeners to look at that philosophy of life. Really, it's about the relationship. They put the relationship first, and when there's a relationship, they go over to the business side of things. And especially in football, you see, it's all about making money. Agents rather do a big deal than the importance of the career development of an athlete. And the reason why I take the relationship very serious and personal is that I believe the lack of attention and the business side of the agent that I had at that time, that hurt me so much, it blew up my career. Because money and giving attention to only the top players was more important than helping me at that time. So before I can make a big deal, I'm always putting the player first, the athlete first, because I was in that position myself. So that's really I have some hooligans besides me. That's why the noise. So
how many?
Yeah, that's basically
No.
I've like a football team. I have 3 girls and 5 boys.
Oh wow, 8 kids. That's amazing. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of work.
It's a serious thing. So so yeah, so out of my personal experience, I always remind myself, that an athlete deserves to be put first at all times. But on the other hand, it's all about loyalty and commitment to have and maintain a successful career as well.
Got it. And I found this one pretty interesting. I like it. It's called dressing well as a form of good manners. I like this one.
You want me to make a comment about that?
Yeah. Well, actually, I'll ask a question. What's you already said it, what the importance is, but what's your experience with dressing well and presenting yourself well? What's the perks of that?
I'm in a very rough business where where I have to fight with big agencies or big agents that made a big name and rah. And when I started this, a pair always told me, listen, when the competition is better, make sure you look better than them. And I always took that one serious. When I walk in a boardroom, I've experienced how important it is to look sharp, to look good, to talk well, have manners, but especially, make sure you dressed up, because people take you serious when you step in a room with your suit, nice, tight, everything neat. It has an effect, and it, yeah, you put yourself in a position that people respect you. And I always tell my athletes this, make sure everything is on point.
Mm-hmm.
On court, but also off the court, and dressing is a part of that.
Got it. Yeah.
It's not all that, but a part of it.
Yeah.
100%.
And this is going to be my second last question. Nike Academy Football, this is on LinkedIn. You were there from 2016 to 2018. How was that whole experience?
Oh, that was wonderful. There was a very honorable invitation of Nike. If you ask me, the most powerful brand of the world. They saw my achievements with my academy in Rotterdam. Became a big thing in Holland. And then they started this Nike Academy program where it's called Nike Most Wanted. And then they created a team in Europe that were playing all of the Nike teams in Europe. Exceptional program, and they asked me to be one of the coaches in the department in Holland to find the next best unsigned players. So it was a very great experience with all of the the Nike gear you can get, and it really elevated my work as well, because I was getting new insight of new talents and an expansion of network, and it was awesome, really awesome. They stopped in 2018, unfortunately, but I really thought they made a very they had a very unique concept in hands at that time.
And the last and final question, I really enjoyed this interview. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
5 years?
Yes.
Okay. Well, in the my goal is to become the best agent in Europe. I believe in long term. So I see myself in the next 20 years. When I'm 35, when I'm 55, I need to be on the top. I want to be the most powerful agent in Europe. The fact is that I'm already 14 years in this business, very bumpy road, but for my opinion, I'm still in the beginning of my career, because it was very difficult to get in this side of the business. So,
and you're there.
For me, pardon?
No, you said it was really hard for you to get in that position, but now you're there now. Yeah.
Yeah. But we're still starting, so I have this Jordan mentality, you know, and I just want to win. And for me, winning is creating wonderful relationships, knowing every sport director in Europe. I've started making a lot of contacts in the US as well. You know, I'm very good with Chris Henderson, the sports director of Inter Miami. So my network is growing worldwide. And for me, it's very important to move players when they need to be moved and having the power of influence, you know. And the next 5 years are going to be focused on expanding my network and being capable of doing big deals in Europe, from inside of Europe or outside of Europe, but to Europe, and doing big deals and developing players to an extended level. So in the next 5 years, I need to be a dangerous guy in Europe.
Nice. All right. Well, Godwin, I really appreciate you taking the time to allow me to interview you. And yeah, this is awesome.
I'm happy. Thank you, man. I really enjoyed it as well.